have you ever really looked into your father's death? Because the story doesn't make sense, right? We were just talking through details. We started Googling. We went down that Google kind of rabbit hole, and we basically uncovered all this information about like he was actually a drug runner for like a gang or a local cartel. As a 27-year-old, kind of realizing, oh, my dad wasn't the saint that I thought he was.
Yeah, because honestly, man, like I don't think I have forgiven him. I used to go to his gravesite, and now I don't go no more. Not that I hold a grudge. I don't think that's it. I feel like I lost respect for him to take his own life, knowing he had 3 kids, a wife.
I've never lost. I've been blessed to have both.
Thanks for
my
rubbing it
parents.
in, bro. Thanks for rubbing it in.
I'm just saying, like,
And how did all that stuff affect you growing up? Like as a kid, like seeing all that violence, all that gun violence.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I understand now. As a kid, it's just like, this is what it is, right? Like, people get smoked, and some people are like, it's just, it's not normal though, right? I think the idea of like, oh, it was normal for us to see this. Like I always talk to people, I'm like, nah, it's not normal for kids to see somebody get their head blown off, right?
We do well with structure.
Yeah.
Like if we don't have that structure, sometimes we wander off.
out.
Yeah, we. But do you still struggle with structure? Like if you don't have it, it kind of like you teeter off and do other things, or you think now you've dialed in?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely one of those people that like it needs structure in order to like not go insane, basically.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about like your mom? And you said your mom raised you guys pretty much by herself, single mother. At one point, child services took you guys away.
Yeah.
Can you kind of dive into that and any particular stories you would like to share?
Yeah, I mean, like, so my mom basically, is originally from Brooklyn, New York. She's white, as I said earlier. So her family kind of disowned her, kind of like turned their backs on her when she and my dad got together. He's a black dude, white chick, right? This is the 70s, I guess it would have been for them. So it was like people
Interracial, or just like
so they weren't cool with it. So they kind of like.
But wasn't that past like the civil rights movement, all that stuff?
Yeah, some people are still like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's
exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
like some people are still to this day like, no,
That's true.
you better bring home somebody that looks like me, right? Yeah. So her and my dad are rocking having kids, and so she kind of ran away from home as I think like late elementary school type thing, teenage or preteen runaway, right? So she kind of was like found my dad somehow. They're kind of rocking together. He gets killed. There's no like help for her. There's no like no community around them, right? So it's like she's just 4 kids. This is like the middle of the winter. Winters are brutal on the East Coast, right? And so she has no money or nothing. She ends up losing her apartment, homeless, couch surfing. She basically
With 4 kids.
with 4 kids. My older sister kind of blamed her for my dad's death somehow, or like, it's like, where's he at? What did you do? That kind of stuff. So she kind of beat my older sister, and it was like my mom used to tear us up, but she beat my older sister. School got involved, police got involved. They basically took all 4 of us away from her because we didn't have no food at home, all that good stuff. She's doing her best, right? So from there, we kind of went in foster care. And we were there for probably about 5 years or so in foster care. And I was with a really great foster family who I'm still connected to now.
Oh, so you got blessed then, huh? Because you always hear those stories.
So I have
of
both.
foster parents.
My first foster family was the Keith family, who they're amazing. And they basically, I was with the mom, her name is Frida first. She really loved us, and then her son and his family kind of took me and my older brother in, really loved us well, and then we went from them with another family who treated us like crap. Right? You know what I mean? Like, so I definitely got to see
both sides
of it, and so I stay in contact with the Keith family to this day, just because they were so instrumental.
And when you said they mistreated you guys, in what way were you like, oh man, like these people are?
Yeah. So I mean, like, Not the Keith family, the other family.
Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna, hate on them because maybe they were doing the best they could, but what they were, you know what I mean. But like, they basically like we could only eat at certain times. Like their kids will be snacking and stuff all day. We can't go down there and open the fridge and grab anything out, right? Or it was like often when we were home, if we weren't allowed outside, we basically were just in our room all day. And there wasn't a whole lot of toys or anything. So imagine you're in like this like attic type room. It's like it was like four kids there, me, my older brother, and then 2 other foster care type dudes. And we were just stuck there all day. And we just had to come up with
Use your imagination.
We were just, I'm a Power Ranger 1 minute, right, a Ninja Turtle the other minute. Right? You made it work, right? Just with your kind of imagination. And so for me, it was like, we just needed to be loved and kind of, shown the ropes, right? And they kind of blew that opportunity. Hopefully they got better after us. But that was like the last foster home we were in, and then we kind of got returned to my mom.
How long were you guys away from your mom?
I think like it was like 4 to 5 years.
Dang.
Yeah, it was like a 4 to 5 year window.
Man, that's a long time, man. That's a long time.
But,
so how long were you with the Keeves, right? That's the name?
Yeah, the Keeves.
And then how long were you with the other family?
It's really hard. I think I was probably in the Keith family for like 3 years.
Okay.
And then with this last family.
What made you guys switch if it was?
Because it's basically like the Keiths lived in Brockton, which is like the city I ended up in. Which is kind of the irony. But then it was like my mom couldn't really get. Brockton's like a 40-minute bus ride from Boston. So I think in order to get it, because they were getting ready to like reunite us with our mom. So it was like, we got to put you in a foster home, like that was like a 5-minute walk, a 10-minute walk for your mom, so she could visit with you more, and we could like kind of on-ramp you for the big return. So I think that's why they moved us to this family, but they just, they weren't that good. But I mean, credit to my mom, honestly, because like my mom had to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so I'm asking.
While we were in foster care.
What type of what was her requirements? Like, what does the courts require?
Yeah, I think she had to I think she was working at one point, and then I think she got on welfare. She had to get an apartment and just show that she had like an income that could, support kids. And I imagine there was some counseling or something she had to endure, and some community service. I don't know like all the details, but whatever she did, she
did it.
She got her crap together so she fought to kind of get us returned to her. And so I think kudos to her for doing that.
During like the time you were away from your mom, would you guys still be able to see her, or you were 5 years without seeing her at all?
No, so we would have like visits. I don't know if it was like weekly or monthly. It's just kind of hard. It's a little blurry, but we would have these visits with her, and so we would still get to connect when the courts or the foster system allowed it.
And it's crazy, but I just see another yet example of God being like these people being placed in their guidance at a pivotal time as well. Because imagine if it would have been flipped around. Imagine you would have got those people that didn't treat you so well, and then you would have got to the Keeves.
Yeah.
It probably have been very difficult, because it's like you're so used to being mistreated, and you get a person who treats you nice and be respectful. You're just like, wait a minute, like, why are these people so nice to us? Like, what do they want?
Rebelled some, but that was definitely. I always look back like it. Just even like the format, right? So, like one of the strategies I used as a kid was like when I would meet men, like in my life, coaches or teachers, I would like look at the good qualities that they have, and that's kind of like that's my fathering, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, he's a good husband. I'm gonna be that kind of husband, or he's a good person. I'm gonna be that kind of person. And so, like Ronald Keefe, and he was the foster dad for us. Like he was a funny dude. He was a great dad, and like a great husband. And so like, for me it was like he was a format. He was a Marine in Vietnam. So for me it was like, hey, all right, military. If you need it, be like him, military, right? Like, like look at you want to be married one day. There's your example that you should have got from your dad and mom. So I had those things in the back of my mind, like, those are the things I need to work towards. Like his wife is Asian, my wife is Asian, right? So just like unintentionally kind of really copied like his blueprint in a sense. And so definitely people I think God put in my life. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And just to hear it's crazy how like I mean how the program for you know children is going into different homes and being fostered by different parents and just different ways of living and it's just almost like a roll of the dice, like what's going to be the outcome, depending on which family they're with and how they're treated.
Yeah.
Like what's going to be the upbringing.
And did you see a big change in your mom, like after the 5-6 years, and you guys reunited? You were like, was she less aggressive? Was she more calm, or she just kind of fake the funk? And once everybody the doors were shut, she was back to her normal self.
Like I don't remember the pre-foster care mom because I was so young. Like I was probably 2 or 3.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like so it was like. It's still like, I don't remember pre-foster care. She was kind to me. I mean, like, I remember growing up, we were poor, but she would try to get me like new shoes and like there was a chunk of time. So when I moved back home, she had my younger sister while we were in foster care. So she had another child, and the dad wasn't around, and so she had, or 2. She had my younger sister and younger brother while we were in foster. So when I returned, I had these 2 smaller siblings. And then, but I mean, she was a good mom. Like there are some ways in which she did a crappy job. But I often, I've forgiven her obviously. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, when you take the parenting skills and example that she had, she did the best she could with that, right? Like I think I like to say I think I'm a great dad now is because I had some great examples, right? Like I learned what it means to be a parent. Like I wasn't like just thrown in the woods with a kid. Like I figured this out, right? And so I think that's why I've been able to like just hold some grace on. Like she raised 7 of us in the hood by herself. We're all alive, and granted, we're all kind of at different levels, but we're all like at least functional adults, right? And I'm like, you think about how many people were dying and kids in jail and things like that. Like we're all functional adults, and so I mean, I think credit to her.
And does your other sibling, let's just say you're the one that used to kind of get it the most, your older sibling, does she have any resentment towards your mom or anything?
Yeah, I mean, like I think that, I mean, it's like it's 7 of us, and like our like reaction or processing of the trauma is just so drastically different. Had a sister who struggled with like substance abuse. I imagine some of that was like the result of the unanswered questions or just the trauma she endured. A brother who's been like in and out of jail, right? No dad, right? So it's like all of those things we've all like processed in different ways. I feel like I'm probably the one in the family who at least like is following Jesus on a practical level and really lives his life for Jesus. And I think that's where a lot of my forgiveness has come from. I don't know that I had some resentment towards my mom and even my dad, like prior to giving my life to Jesus. But I think as I've like been forgiven and learned of unconditional love, I think I've gotten to a place where I'm like, I'm good, like not having the perfect example and all that. So me and my mom have a great relationship. Like she's still crazy and she's still right, like she still does things that drive me crazy. But for me, I'm like, nah, you did what you could.
Yeah, that's your mom, you know, like no, because I feel the same way like with my mom. When I found out, years later how my dad passed away, I wasn't upset with her because I can't imagine what she had to go through. 3 kids. She really didn't even know how to wash clothes. My dad showed her everything, and she took that and she utilized the best she could, So, I mean, like I said, I couldn't imagine seeing my husband hanging. Like I could not even imagine.
Right.
But the fact that she sucked it up. And I even asked her, like, Mom, how did you do it? And she goes, I had no choice, James. Like I couldn't mourn. You were a baby. Like you didn't know what was going on, and so I had to keep pushing.
Oh, yeah, that's a hard hand to be dealt. I think about my mom like, what the heck were you were supposed to snap, right? Like, and she did, right? And she had to deal with the repercussions of that. But it's like I get you, right? And so I think that's why I've been able to offer just some empathy to her. And I think my older siblings kind of like, they're getting there. My mom's getting older, and just her health isn't like that great. And so I do see like when she's gone through some of her like serious like health issues, like my older siblings have been like by her side, and like so I'm like I've learned like I think I used to like judge them some like, man, like you guys just need to forgive. You guys just, and I just have learned that like everyone deals with trauma.
Yeah,
differently.
everybody forgives differently.
You process it differently. You mourn differently. So I'm like, you know what? Like, hey, whatever your relationship with my mom is gonna be like, or your mom is gonna be like, that's on you, right? Like, but so I do think like time is like definitely healing some of the wounds, and yeah, I look forward to seeing them continue to just work at their relationships.
Yeah, because I think it's not only time, but it's also being around people that have similar backgrounds and seeing how they move, what they've done to forgive their parents or their whoever it is that may have done them wrong. You know, younger when they were kids. So, I've learned to just, what we try to do in this podcast is put ourselves in your guys' situation. You know, what it was like growing up in Boston. I can't imagine what it's like growing up in Boston and seeing people being killed on the daily, and just like just like I can't imagine that, bro. You know, so that's I really do hope that in the future that your siblings all, you know, just forgive your mom. In time, when they're ready.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
Definitely. And I think when you do forgive, you feel more, I mean, I'm going to speak for myself, you know, I do have my faith in Jesus Christ and God, and, you know, like when I do forgive the people that done wrong to me, you know, it's like, I don't have to wear that anymore, you know what I mean? I forgive you, you know, that doesn't mean we have to hang out or nothing, you know, I wish you nothing but the best, and, you know, that's a part of my life I can let go and continue to progress, and, you know, like, I'm happier for it, I'm a better person for it, you know, because, I mean, I don't want to ever, like, I'm never going to say I hate somebody, or, you know, I never want to forgive somebody, because I think we all deserve forgiveness. We're all capable of changing and being better at the end of the day, you know? I mean, we're all struggling. We're all going through something. We all have our past, our trauma, you know, and, yeah, it's amazing what people, your mothers, you know what I mean, are capable of when they're put in that situation, you know, and then to come out of it, I'm sure they're so much more stronger than, you know, before, you know?
Yeah. My mom is like, I'm like, I look now and I'm like, dang, like, how the heck did you do it, bro? Like, I'm like, me and my wife's a school teacher. I'm a full-time youth pastor. Like, we're rich financially compared to, like, what my mom had to know. Like, we're, like, very middle class or whatever now. But, like, compared to, like, the life we live and all that, I'm like, we're rich. We both got cars, good cars. Like, we can take trips. My wife's family's from Hawaii, so we go to Hawaii all the time, right? And I'm like, and I got two sons, 8 and 3, and I'm like, this is so hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like 7, no money, welfare. My mom still has never owned a car, right? And I'm like, how the heck did you keep us alive? Like, my kids would be done if I had to operate
I believe that.
Those situations. So yeah, I think kudos to just Mom Dukes for thugging it out and figuring it out. She figured it out. I think that's what she's done her whole life, is just taking these crappy situations, crappy hands of cards she's been dealt, and she's just played them enough to get through. And so I respect that.
Well, thank you to Mom. Thank you to Mom, man. Yeah. So let's talk about mentors. Being that you grew up without a dad, how important were mentors in your life?
Yeah.
And do you have certain memories or certain discussions that you had that really paved the way for you?
Yeah, I mean, my first mentors were like maybe the Keith family. I think about just some of the nuggets they deposited on me, just there's a bunch of people in that family that I still talk to today. I think of like being like in that boys' home. There was a guy named Harold there, Filipino dude that was nice at basketball. So he just kind of taught me how to like do drills and work out and like, hey, you got to do good in school, right? And then from there, it went to like when I got to high school, I had a teacher, Mr. Ford, who had my older brother. My older brother dropped out of high school his senior year. Also, my senior high school, like I just kind of took a step back for some reason. I stopped going to school for like a month. This dude came to my house, like pulled me to the side. I was like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you're almost done. I'm not gonna let you do what your brother did. You need to have your blank beep, beep, beep in school on Monday. And so basically for like the second half of my senior year, I basically just sat in this guy's classroom all day, and I had to catch up on so much work, and I did, and I graduated, right? So he definitely was one of those dudes that like was like, I'm not gonna give up on you. And then from there, like I had other mentors. There was another like kind of basketball legend, and this guy Ben Mitchell, who was kind of like everyone I had like Jordan and all these guys. Like this dude was like our Jordan, right? So he was like the guy that went to college, got a scholarship. He was like a mentor and big guy in the city. So he was another dude that kind of like, hey, go to school, hey, work hard, put in the work if you want to kind of be successful. And then from there, it became like being in the Army, having some good leaders that really kind of was like, hey, you got potential, man, you gotta work hard, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, right? And so mentored kind of in that way. And then, I went from there to like, having given my life to Jesus, right? Like my pastor here, right, being Pastor Chris Rite, who leads this church, like he's definitely been one of those guys that's helped me like spiritually really grow and understand who Jesus is, and has kind of put me in a position, or led me to be in a position to where I'm now able to kind of give that mentorship to, I don't know, it's hundreds or probably around 1,000 kids in the last 12 years. So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing, bro.
How about yourself? Any mentors that you growing up? I mean, from what you've been through, that you mentors? Any like statements, comments that helped you pave your path?
Yeah, no, I've had. I don't remember like the name, like their names or whatever, but like yeah, I had a high school mentor that really. I remember he was a math teacher at Wilson. And
Went to Wilson High School?
yeah, I went to Wilson. Yeah,
okay.
Did you?
Yeah, I was a mule. I only went for a year.
Okay.
But yeah, but he really seen a lot of good in me, a lot of potential. So, and I was struggling math, so he would take the time after class. He would help me out, and he would help me study and things like that. So. I remember a lot of it were teachers, and then I got into boxing, and I started, some of the coaches that would really support me, and then honestly, my stepdad was a huge impact in my life. Like he really molded me into like the person that I am today. We don't speak as much anymore, which sucks, but yeah. How about yourself?
Myself, I was always in sports. I think my parents, I moved out of, because I used to live in the project, so I seen some of that stuff. Wasn't never exposed to it. My parents were able to get us out of there probably when I was in 3rd, 4th grade. And after that, it was just sports. So it's a lot of my coaches, you know what I mean? My baseball coaches, my football coaches. I still remember my baseball coaches when I played with the Cubs at Al Sereno Park.
Okay.
Was Shorty, my football coach, Tony. I still talk to him, every now and then, play softball with them. Yeah, but it was all of my coaches that really kind of helped me and kept me out of the streets. Hey, make sure you come to practice. We need to practice, running drills and everything. So, yeah, thanks to all my coaches and my parents as well. And just the
that
people
are still together, by the way. I'm just throwing it out there. Successful marriage.
My bad, bro. I'm not gonna talk about it again. But yeah, man. So I appreciate all my coaches, and so I can only imagine what you're doing for your kids in basketball and everything, and how they look up to you and how much of a great role model you are to them, So. It's awesome. It's awesome.
And so that's my next question. So how long? So after the military, so when did you get out of the military? What did you do in the military?
So I was an avionics survivability equipment repairer. So I basically worked on like radar, navigation, night vision systems on helicopters.
Okay. And how did you get that gig?
When I tested well, I guess, and when I was picking jobs.
Do you remember what you got on the ASVAB?
No. I had a really high GT score, whatever that means. So yeah, that's a good question. But I tested well, I guess. I failed the test originally, and then I actually had to study for it. And then the second time I took it, I did good. But like as I was choosing the jobs, it just had the most complicated name. It was like avionics survivability. I didn't know what none of the words meant.
Yeah, I got one.
So I'm like,
that sounds cool.
let me get that one. I don't know what the words
I'll take one of those.
A lot of them are like
I'll take one of those.
military police, cook, infantryman. I'm like, nah, I don't want any of those. Yeah, give me the long word one, right? So that was the job I chose, and it was tough. But it was good.
And then this was what year was this when you were in the military?
2004. So I enlisted 2004.
So this was a peak during the Afghanistan war. So this is what these were getting.
It was hot.
We're getting hostile.
And recruiters be lying, bro. Like,
oh, of course.
I walked in and was like, hey, I want to sign up right now. I signed all the paperwork, and this guy's lying. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, you're gonna work on helicopters. There ain't no helicopters in the desert. It's gonna be tanks. Tanks. And my dumb butts are like, yeah, you're right. It's like all they use is helicopters. Like we go over there with the shooters, right? So I'm like, dang, that guy, man.
Got him.
I'm not gonna put you on blast, but you lied to me.
So did you ever see any action or anything like that? Any of your buddies that you seen ever get wounded, or maybe that you lost there, or anything like that?
Nah, yeah, I was lucky, honestly. I mean, the little knuckleheads would fire rockets over the gate, and there was some that would explode within like 100 yards of us. I mean, probably the scariest situation was like I was in a guard tower. We had to do like these shifts, which I hated doing. But you would be in there with like an Afghanistan like soldier, basically. So you'd be like buddied up with them, and you'd be like in one of the guard towers. And this one day this like truck was like speeding towards like our front gate, right? And we're like, so then of course they're on the radios like, hey, everybody get ready, I'm about to light this dude up. We got big old machine guns in the guard tower and stuff. And so we're hitting it, and the guy's like, all right, get ready. It's like that. It's really intense.
So you have your what?
So yeah.
What do you have? What weapon?
So
if you remember,
a saw. I don't remember. They had like the numbers, but saw is like a automatic, like a machine gun. I guess it's pretty heavy and big. So I had the saw, and then the Afghan guy had an AK. And so we were about to and there's like a bunch of towers that were locked onto this dude or this truck, right? So they're speeding. So as soon as it gets like closer, probably within, let's say 50 yards. So like, all right, stand down, blah, blah, blah. It was a truck full of people, a family. The kid had just stepped on a landmine, and they were rushing him to our base.
Oh my God.
They were rushing him to the base. We had a hospital, like a hospital on the base. So luckily, like we would have Swiss cheesed this truck, and we would have been all destroyed because there would have been a freaking family in there. Yeah. So that probably was like the only time where
But then that was God again. Like,
yeah,
stop.
Totally.
Imagine what that would have done to you.
I would have been screwed up, bro.
Yeah, imagine what I've done to you.
I'm a good dude. I think I was just starting to follow Jesus. I was just really starting to give Jesus a chance at that point. I had 2 army buddies that kind of led me to Jesus, right? While I was in Afghanistan, and so like, yeah, that would have screwed me up. But like, yeah, I'm grateful that's probably the most like
intense moment.
that I had kind of being in the Army.
Okay, so then
because it's like a split second. You don't know if that car is full of explosives or anything.
And
it's,
that's the
IED,
issue.
and it's just like that's where it's like really comes a split second
Yeah,
decision. Just
yeah.
like,
I'm glad
do we do this or not?
whoever was leading that
And
time
said, "Stand
they did a
down."
good job. You did a good job. I don't know, you had the
Saved some
binoculars or
lives,
what.
yeah.
okay, so then you were there for how many years?
So I was in Afghanistan for a year, and then went back for another year. So it's like I did 6 years. I did 1 year in South Korea, which is like a big party, and then a year in Afghanistan. I did 2 different deployments.
And so you re-signed then because you did your 4 years, right?
So
you
did
re-enlisted.
4 years. Like, hey, you need to re-enlist. I got through the first 4 years, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do with my life. And so that second 4, I started taking college courses and things like that. Just because I was like, I want to prepare for
When you get out.
get a degree. And actually, I wanted to become like an officer. And you got to have a college degree for that. So I started taking college courses to like build towards becoming an officer.
And then why didn't you? What made you like not re-enlist? Like, oh, let me or just do a lifer. I'm gonna do my 20 years. I'm already 8. I got 12 more. What kind of stopped you?
This darn Pastor Chris, man. This guy ruined everything.
Was he in the military as well? Pastor
No.
Chris?
So he wasn't. So he basically. So I was dating my wife, Candace, who's amazing, by the way. I haven't talked about her a whole lot, but she's awesome. Basically, we were dating at the time. Our plan was she's from Hawaii, so it was like, go to Hawaii. There's an army base there. Stay there as long as we can. Buy a house. Live happily ever after. Right off into the sunset. Pastor Chris basically was doing some fundraising, and he was my wife's college pastor when she was at USC, and so she's a school teacher now. So he was kind of doing some fundraising, going through his email list. My wife's email pops up, and he's like, I'm not going to ask her for money because she's a school teacher. Let me see if she'd be willing to donate some time. And so he hit her up like, hey, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Hey, I got a youth ministry that's thriving over here. I got some young ladies, and our church was really young then, so we want to see if you'd be willing to come volunteer and help out with the young ladies in our ministry. She did, and then, I don't know, after a few months, I realized, well, I'm in Afghanistan. This is my second deployment. Oh, like, our plans are changing. Like, God's definitely changing something for my wife, and so, like, I had to go into my own process of, like, what are you going to do, right? Like, what are you going to do? And so I got to this unique place in the Army where I was kind of tired of the same stuff every day, over and over and over. And I kind of got to a place where I'm like, all right, I'm ready for whatever's next. And God was definitely like just slowly just transforming me. And so we kind of, through lots of process, got to a place where I'm like, I'm going to get out and move to LA. And so, yeah.
Man, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
All right. No, go ahead.
All right. So then, you get out, right? What got you into coaching? Like talk about that.
So I think once you realize you're not good enough as a player, you're like, hey, I still want to be involved.
Yeah, I love the sport.
So yeah, I love basketball.
What's that saying? Those who can't do teach.
There you
right?
go. There you go. I definitely don't play anymore, but I always had a heart for teens. Like even like my goal, like once I realized I wasn't good enough to play basketball, which I wasn't. Like I was like, hey, I want to become a juvenile probation officer so I can help the Fednas out there, right? Because I had a great juvenile probation officer. She was super dope, and so like for me, I was like, I want to do what she did, so I can impact the next generation. And so like my college, like when I was going to college, it was all like criminal justice, juvenile probation. That was kind of like my goal, right? And so like with that, it was like, how can I still be involved in the game? Oh, I can coach, right? And so when I moved here, at Lincoln High School, basically the JV basketball job was opening up, so I applied, got the job, and yeah, just for me, it's like I get to like teach the game of basketball to like hood kids like me, and then obviously offer lots of mentorship and things like that. And then now, as a full-time youth pastor, like my job really lends itself to like helping and doing all the work that I get to do at the school. So like I'm currently helping with the Bible club on campus, and so yeah, it's been really dope. Like coaching is definitely, I'm gonna be one of them old dudes out there coaching. Like I already know. Look forward to coaching my kids one day. So yeah, it's just something I love.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're excited. I know. I love them. Keep them coming. No, but you being a high school basketball coach, did you run into a lot of kids that were kind of like going down the same path that you have, or have been going down the same path that you have?
Yeah, I mean, most of the kids like in our neighborhood, right? Like family issues, lots of dads not in the picture. Although it's gotten better, I feel like kids borderline gang, some in gang, some smoking weed, right? Girls and things like that. So there's been a lot of ways where like my story, right, or my testimony, God has definitely redeemed in a sense to where I get to share with these kids like, hey, you don't want to do that, bro. This is where I ended up. You don't want, right? And so it's been cool to like be able to use my story to help these kids kind of find the right direction to head into.
And so you've been coaching for how long?
12 years. I'm getting ready to go into my 12th season.
12 years.
All at the same high school.
And I don't know if you can say the school?
Yeah, Lincoln High School.
Okay.
Tigers?
Yeah, Lincoln High School.
Oh, okay.
That's why when you said Wilson.
Go
I'm like,
Muse.
Okay. We got rivals over here.
man.
I graduated from there.
These guys.
So, in what ways do you feel, or there's any particular athlete that you mentored that you're like, man, like, you know, he was going down a wrong path, and the fact that you guided him, he's doing this now, or anything like that? Do you have any stories like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few, right? There's been a few. I guess my nephew, right? So I'll be biased and share about my family. So my nephew, basically, his freshman year of high school, he went to my Brockton High School, the school I actually went to, the high school I went to, failed everything, right? So like his mom is like, yo, I need help with this dude. Like he's headed down, he's hanging around the wrong people. So I talked to my awesome wife, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about moving him here and trying to help him, you know? And she's crazy and was like, let's do it. You know, this is our second year of marriage, right? So she was willing to really sacrifice some of our good years of partying and going out and having, you know, no kids. So we moved this guy over here. And when I got his transcripts from his old high school, like there was literally nothing on there. Like they're like, hey, his transcript's like incomplete, something's wrong. And I'm like, no, the dude really got 0 credits, you know? And so he got here, and, you know, we made a lot of parenting mistakes because we just didn't know what we were doing. But I think there's a lot of awesome things we did. And so, yeah, he basically...
What do you think is something that you did wrong you did what you did right? Just so the parents out there who are going to be new parents.
Yeah. You know, like I was still kind of just figuring myself out. So my wife would always be like, hey, you need to tell him that you're proud. For me, this is my own kind of like parenting like mistakes. So you need to tell him like you're proud of him or you love him. And like it was hard for me to really say it, you know what I'm saying? And of course, he knows I love him a lot. So, but like it was hard for me to really like express love and emotion like that, right? Because I had never had it really expressed to me, you know? And so, yeah, I didn't do that well. I think, you know what I'm saying? And now with my kids, like, it's so normal and easy because I realize the importance of doing that stuff. So I would say just affirming just the good things I see in them, because for me it was always like, you're not doing this, your grades, you're this. And so I was that like voice of for him.
It's like that tough love, but it's like you're just giving him the toughness, but not the love.
Yeah. So I think some of the sacrifices I made, he knows. Like, I mean, he has called me and told me like, hey man, you really helped, you know, save my life, and I don't know what I'm. So it's like, yeah, but just for me, like as I look back, I'm like, I wish I would have done a better job of being more like emotionally like present. And I think parents in particular, men, like I think we got to be that for our boys. And I imagine it's a lot easier with your daughters, but I think the boys aren't going to be able to articulate that they need that, but they do. And so I share that with a lot of my like fathers when they're like, hey, my kids, this and that, my relationship. I'm like, hey, man, like maybe trying to be more emotionally present for them. But anyway, so my nephew basically played on my basketball team. His senior year, I got to take over the varsity job. So I coached him 1 year on JV, then he played 1 year on varsity for another coach. And then his senior year, I take over the varsity job with all of the first kids I ever coached at the high school. And we won the first championship in 83 years together.
Smack, huh?
So it was kind of like a poetic kind of ending to like him and I's kind of.
It's like some Coach Carter right here, bro.
Yeah, it was special. It was really special to obviously share that with him and for him to have, like, feel like he accomplished something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because imagine if he would have never shown up.
Yeah.
Were there any kids that you lost to the streets?
Yeah, I mean, so there have been a few kids who, like I've had kids that played for me, and like kids I've taken on like youth retreats, people who've come to youth group that have killed people, that have died, right, or even taken their own lives, right. So there's been a combination of like you kind of realize you can't help everybody, right, or sometimes it's not even your job to help everybody, right? You just plant the seeds, and you just hope that like it sprouts at some point, right? Like I'm learning now that like I can't transform everybody. I want to and I try to, but I just realize like, all right, God, like use me however you see fit to be a part of this person's life, and whatever happens after this is between you and them. So.
Right. No, that's you're right about that, man. Like we have to help ourselves, you know. And I mean, I can't imagine, man, being mentored to a teenager and then finding out that he was killed. Like, oh man, so like, how have you done with that emotionally?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, like I don't do well with death. Period. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's like violent. I feel like it drives me into this, like, is it survivor's remorse or survivor's guilt?
Survivor's guilt, yeah. Where you think, you're like, why couldn't it be me?
Yeah, for me, it's like, it always drives me back to, like, my dark places. And I'm like, dang, God, why did you save me? Why did you save me and not this kid? He could do what I'm doing, or he could be my replacement, right? So that there's always that piece to where I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how to, like, deal with death better. I'm not, like I remember one time I was like sharing with my wife about somebody dying. I don't know if it was a kid or it was somebody, and I was like smiling as I was sharing with her. She kind of was like, what the heck are you smiling about? Like, this is serious. And for me, I wasn't like doing it on purpose. It just was my like inability to really connect emotionally.
Yeah.
Right? And so
it was
like,
your defense mechanism.
It was my defense mechanism.
Yeah.
She's like, you shouldn't be laughing. Like, what's wrong with you, right? So yeah, man, it just, I don't know, like when it happens, I usually go through like a few days of like just real deep sadness. And like on like a weird, like a real dark kind of, I just, try to pray more, listen to more worship music, just get around good people that are going to kind of help me just see that it's in God's hands,
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust the process. Yeah. No, do you have anything else?
Well, I guess we'll wrap this up with as far as where did you finally find you being a pastor now? Where did that all come from? What ended with that?
Yeah, man, it definitely wasn't the plan. Like, it's funny. Like, I still have people in my life, especially people that see me grow up, that they like still talk to me like I'm in the army. Like, even though I'm like 100 pounds heavier. There's no way, and they know I'm not in the army, but like when I go home and visit, it's not like, wait, you're a pastor, right? It's like, so it's very like, what are you doing? What? You? There's no, you, what the, like that's definitely the,
everybody's still shocked.
Stop playing.
Even like a part of my job has been like fundraising and things like that. So I've hit up some people that I grew up with, and I can tell their response is like, this has got to be a scam. You know what I mean? Like this, what? You trying to get money? You know what I mean? So, but basically, long story short, I moved here 2012, right? Me and my wife, she was already kind of helping in the youth ministry. And so like, I wanted to work with teens and coach, right? And so it was just like a natural, like, kind of place for me to serve. And I just kind of fell in love with just helping teens. So as I was going through school at Cal State LA, right, working towards criminal justice, I realized like, man, I want to do something that, because often it's too late once they enter the system, right? So I'm like, I would be learning that in all these classes. So I'm like, man, I want to do something to help kids before they get that charge or before they enter the criminal justice system, because often it's just too late, right? And so like I just was exploring different career fields and things like that. So I had changed my major to counseling services, and it's rehabilitation services. Sorry, and it's basically like it's just helping people rehabilitate. So often that could be people that are in prison that have to reintegrate back in society. Like my major was basically helping those people figure out what they're going to do next, or like people who suffer like an accident, maybe a broken spinal cord or whatever the case may be, and they got to adapt to this new life, new set of circumstances they have. And so that's kind of like my major and like what I studied at Cal State LA. But as I was finishing up school and I was like, hey, maybe juvenile probation's the kind of thing, it was like the COVID year, and I'm like, man, like, what am I going to do next? So I just really used that year to really process kind of my future and things like that. And man, I really felt like God was like, hey, I want you to like help teens, like as a pastor, as a youth pastor. And like, this is definitely a call in your life. And man, many people have like said like, hey, man, God's really using you. And I've been able to have lots of impact and things like that. So yeah, I just really prayed and processed for about a year with my pastor and other people and my wife, and it just became clear just towards like the end of my like me graduating that like, hey, I'm gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? And so a part of it meant like the church was gonna pay half of my salary and I was gonna fundraise the rest through like my friends, and which sounded crazy because I'm like, dang, like this is crazy. Like, wow, why would you do this? But I did it, right? I took the kind of leap of faith, and God has definitely provided like amazingly. So it's dope to really do now. And then now, as I see how much more of an impact I have as a coach and like community leader and mentor, kind of coupling that with being a pastor, I'm like, man, God, I really see kind of what you're doing in all of this. So yeah, that's basically kind of my call, or just what God had for me or has for me right now. And so I love it. So yeah, I've been doing it full time since 2021, and I've been volunteering since 2012. So
nice. Do you remember the moment where you realized like, yeah, this is my calling. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel great. Like this is where I'm supposed to be at.
Like that high that you got of just, man.
Man, there's been a lot. I mean, it's like going to these retreats with, like a kid I met maybe through coaching or somehow, and like we have a conversation, and they end up at a youth retreat giving their life to Jesus, right? That just those are always like little like like highs. Yeah. I mean, even just this past year, right? Like, I was co-leading the youth ministry with a buddy of mine, Mark, and basically he has transitioned to working with like post-high schoolers, right? And so it was like, hey, Fedna, you're gonna step in and lead the youth ministry by yourself. This just started this summer, right? And so it wasn't something I was like excited about. I'm like, all right, God, like, what are you gonna do? Like, all right, I'll trust that you're doing something in all of this. And man, it's been amazing. Like the start of the school year, like the Bible club on campus is thriving. I got a great group of kids I'm coaching, and it definitely feels like, man, God's doing something special right now. So I feel like I'm riding the wave, right?
Yeah.
In a sense, like I definitely feel like at the top of a wave, just really like, just riding this thing out. And I know, of course, I'll have to get in the water a little bit and then hop back on the board, right? So, but it definitely feels like I'm definitely riding what God's doing right now. And so, yeah, I just am really looking forward to the rest of this school year. The basketball season is going to start in a couple weeks here. So, yeah, I'm really excited about what God's doing. And there's been like many kind of like highs and lows,
Right.
but many more highs than lows of God really cementing that I'm supposed to be doing this.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Because me personally, like I never went to church. You know what I mean? And nobody's really like talked to me about God, read the Bible, and all that. And just recently, maybe I would say like a year, maybe it's 6 months. I really been putting my faith into God a lot more. A lot more. And like you were saying, like there's really not a moment. There's really not one moment where it's like, oh, I feel great. This is what I should be doing. It's multiple moments that, reinforce like, yeah, I'm on the right path. I'm going down the right direction. He's leading me in the right direction, by having faith in God. And it's like you do see it a lot more clear, being on this podcast and being able to like talk to people and, bringing the father and son together, that just that one time, that was amazing for me. That was like reinforcing, like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is the main, this is what we got to do. We got to continue to ride this wave.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if so like when we first started, maybe like one of our 5th episodes, my little nephew just wanted to come on the podcast. Him and my older brother, he wasn't really around too much. But anyways, I wanted to give him an opportunity to just talk. So my little nephew came on the podcast, kind of just expressed himself for everything that happened. And then, at first I was like kind of persistent with my brother. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Like, have you heard it? Right? And I was a little irritated, I guess you would say. Like, man, like, why wouldn't? But then I wasn't experiencing putting myself in why he does. Like, I can imagine it was hard. And then I finally talked to him, and I was like, man, like, I cried. Yeah. I cried. It was really hard. And then all of a sudden, man, they just little by little, they started just getting closer together, getting to the point where like he was actually living with him for a while. And then with my brother is really big into church as well. Yeah. And then his son finally started. He took him to his church.
That's cool.
And then he started, following the Lord. And now my little nephew is like really big into the Lord and is doing his best to stay off trouble, to be a good dad, the father that he's being the father that to his daughter that what he missed, so he's trying to just show her that. So that's why he mentioned that.
If that's it, right? If that's all this podcast ever accomplishes, like,
it was a win. It was
you know
a
what I'm
win.
saying? Like, yes. But anything else is icing on it.
Everything else is extra.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's dope.
So I was gonna ask, where can people? When do you minister? Like, if people wanted, after hearing this podcast, like, man, I really want to know more about Fedna. Like, what days do you minister here and so forth?
Yeah, so basically we have a youth group that I lead on Tuesday evening, 6:30 to 8:30. We're on Instagram at New Life for Life. It's like the Instagram, and I'm on Instagram, Coach Fedna. So people can contact me that way. We have church on Sundays.
Do you minister on Sundays?
No, so on Sundays I usually have a role, but I'm not one of the preachers.
So you mainly minister just towards the youth?
Yeah. That's definitely what God's call kind of for me kind of is. So.
Okay, and then and you say you do it when exactly? You said Tuesdays.
Tuesdays, 6:30 to 8:30. It's basically junior high and high school age.
And it's here at this church.
Yep, here.
Okay.
We meet in the back. We usually start off playing games, and then there's some kind of food or dinner, and then we have a lesson, Bible study. I'll preach sometimes, and then occasional game nights. We do youth retreats throughout the year, summer camps. So.
And what are those youth retreats? What is that? Just so someone who's like,
that's a good question. Youth retreat is basically like a camp, basically, right? So we do one in the winter. It's usually 3 days, so a long weekend, and we'll spend the night in cabins. We'll have a bunch of great speakers. They usually have a Christian, hip hop artists come out, and then we have games and activities, and it's just a really good contextualized way for teens and young people to learn about Jesus. Because I know church is boring sometimes.
Yeah,
for teenagers. I think about teenage Fedna. There's no way you would have gotten me in there. But take me up in the woods, give me a basketball, a paintball gun, have somebody who could rap and like a cool like speaker. You probably would have got me.
Got my attention. You got my attention.
Yeah, so that's basically what we do there, and then we have some other other camps in the summer and stuff.
And for these retreats, like let's just say there was a family out there. Hey, I don't have the money to. How does that all?
What's the process?
What's the process like?
Yeah, I mean, normally like we'll find donors and things like that, and so like the winter one's gonna be like $100. This one we're gonna do, it's gonna be like $100 per kid. We usually ask the kids for like 50, and then we'll find donors. But if a parent, like my mom, probably wouldn't have had $50 to give, we'll make it happen. I'll find money for that kid. If there's a kid that wants to go, like money wouldn't be the thing to keep them from going. And our church is like super supportive. Like our church would totally find a way to get kids to be able to go to these things.
Well, if there's to the audience, we're at New Life Community Church in Lincoln Heights. So if there's any parents out there or teen listening to this and wants to come and just listen to Fedna, see what he has to say, see what the hype's about.
Yeah.
You know, take a chance.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
take a chance. What I've kind of got out in this podcast was just, or this episode was just, God has put these people in your life.
Yeah.
For a reason.
And it's so beautiful to hear, man. I can't thank you enough. I have just such a big high right now, man. Like, and it's just listening to your story, and I can't even imagine the feeling you must get with connecting with all these kids, man. Like that feeling of helping and putting yourself, you know, like not putting yourself first, but putting yourself last, you know, and that's a beautiful testament to a lot of men out there. That, because I feel like we do live in a selfish society where everybody's so worried about them and their wealth and their this, and it's just like, nah, man, we got
material stuff.
Yeah, like we got to give back. You know, we got to give back to our communities. You know, wherever you live, like you can give back. You know, and it's better. It is better to give than it is to receive, and I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. So if any of you out there, New Life Community Church here in Lincoln Heights, they have a youth program. What's the age?
It's like junior high to like high school.
Okay, so like what, like 12, 13? What
is a junior high?
Yeah, like what is junior high?
Yeah,
I didn't do good at math.
Yeah, we're basically we're very high school like heavy right now, but yeah, I'm not sure. Sixth grade and up would probably be a good kind of gauge. And we also have like a kids program on Sundays for like kids younger than that. So
okay, all right. Well, there you go. Anything else you want?
Yeah, I definitely want to say, I'm grateful for you, Fedna, for sharing your story. You know, like James said, you know, there's always opportunities. You know what I mean, out there. You know, sometimes we say, oh, we can't. Like, there's no opportunities. We feel that we can't see them, but we create opportunities. You know, people are put in your life for a reason. It's to see what the lesson is and how to grow from it and how to be better and persevere, you know. And sometimes I do sit up here and it might seem that, you know, I'm quiet or I'm not asking a lot of questions. One, because James talks a lot. MJ talks a lot. Everybody gets excited. I love his energy. But it's also because I'm like genuinely like really embracing it, you know, like feeling it, putting my like damn, what would I do? How would I move? Where would my life be? You know, and kind of go down the rabbit hole that way. And it's just like, it's amazing to see that, to hear people, what they've been through, and to come out the other end so much stronger, so much better, in a better way of living. Again, yes, definitely the power of prayer. Have faith. Everything's going to be okay. You know, like I'm learning that, you know, a week ago, a week and a half ago just really been in it, and with work and stuff, and almost losing my job, and it really like opened my eyes, like, hey, like, how are you gonna move? You know what I mean? Like, be grateful for what you have. Like, all these materials things don't matter. Like, money isn't wealth. Like, I'm wealthy already because I have people in my life to make sure that I level up and that care about me and love me, and what I mean? And I have a great support system, my wife, my kids, even my friends at work and everybody, like, and it's just so amazing and enlightening, And again, I'm grateful for you, I'm grateful for Sergio, and I'm grateful for New Life Church in Lincoln Heights for allowing us to do this, like, we are
we're in God's house, man.
We're in God's house, and we're like literally like blessed.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for all that.
For sure, man. This is dope.
You want to kick off any final thoughts?
I haven't mentioned my two sons' names. So Isaiah, he's 8, and Zakai, he's 3. He's gonna be 4 in December. And so if they see this one day, I want them to be like, yeah, my dad shouted me out.
Oh, and to your wife too.
My wife Candace, I think I brought her up. She's amazing, right? She was probably like the first answered prayer I've ever had, right? Like, I just kind of prayed one day, like, God, like, man, if you bring the right person in my life, I'm ready to settle down. A month later, we got introduced. She's been the first form of like unconditional love I've ever received in my life. So, love you, girl. I know you're gonna watch this and probably be crying when you hear some of the stories, although you know most of them, but thank you for helping me be the man I am today. And this church, man, like, it's amazing. New Life, you guys are amazing. I wouldn't be the man I am today without you guys, and just, I wouldn't be a pastor, wouldn't be the leader that I am. So super grateful for the church community that I have here. They definitely make this, living in LA without any family outside of, like, my family's on the East Coast, hers is in Hawaii, right? But I think the family that we have here as a church family has made being here worth it. And this church is why I'm here. Otherwise, I'd be in Hawaii. So that's all I got. I heard some, I don't know, it was some podcast or something I was listening to, and the guy was like, hey, what do you think, like, what is the advice you give to people who, like, get in trouble or whatever? And he was like, somebody told him, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, anytime you find yourself in trouble, just turn right and go straight, like, turn right and go straight. And so I don't know, that's been like a quote that I heard in the past week or two that I'm like, I'm gonna use that, you know what I'm saying? You just gotta, for me, turning right is Jesus, right? It's just, you turn to Jesus wherever you find yourself in life, and just keep going towards him, and I think everything else will work itself out. So that's what I got.
Thank you, man.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Another wave ridden, another current, and even though sometimes we feel that, the wave crashes on top of us and we feel like we're drowning, have faith, power of prayer, everything will be great. You're going to be okay. Trust the process. You guys are amazing. We love you all. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Aid, I appreciate it. MJ, if you want to say anything else. Fedna, I think this was a great topic.
This was so phenomenal. Take the opportunities that present themselves. Knowing that there is opportunity for some of you guys to come to this church and take these opportunities. Take them, take whatever it is that the Lord puts in front of us. And because if I wish as a teenager, I would have known about these type of programs, because honestly, I would have done it. I would have done it. So, anybody out there who's just like, just do it. Just come in, check it out. It's not gonna hurt, and who knows? You may be embraced with a great mentor, some great friends. That you can connect with, that are now out there doing these streets, that are just trying to live good lives, and be good people.
Yeah. And don't talk yourself out of it if it feels right, if it really feels right, because everything is within. If it feels right, do it.
Try it out.
Try it out.
Worst case, you don't like it, you think it's whack, you don't got to come back.
There you go. That's
There you go. If it's whack, if it ain't whack, you don't have to come back. There you go. But all right, guys. Well, we'll see you
on the next wave.
On the next wave, we'll see you guys every Friday, 8 a.m. Ride the Way podcast. We thank you. Please subscribe, share. We'll see you guys on the next one. We love you.
We appreciate you. We're grateful for you.
Peace.